All right, man, I got to admit something, man. I am reconsidering the Pistons signing Fred VanVleet, man. Let's talk about it. Make sure you check out our Detroit Piston Talk playlist for more videos like this. Appreciate everybody for checking in. And just keep sharing the videos. And, watching Fred VanVleet in this 8-game run. And this season, he really been tearing it up as well, too. I think he went through a stretch where he got injured in the real regular season. And Norman Powell really took off as well. So Toronto may let him leave. You know what I'm saying? They had a deal on the table where they could have brought Paul George and Russell Westbrook there to Toronto to keep Kawhi, and they didn't want, the owner didn't financially want to do it. So that lets you kind of know the Toronto Raptor owner is a little bit frugal. If they feel that Nick Nurse can plug in Norman Powell and he can do what Fred VanVleet did, and they could bring somebody else in to play the bench role, that's probably going to happen. OG Abayi, whatever they got, he another baller out there. So, I don't know who you barking at. Got to be the mail lady. At least this time, we got to be the mail lady. I said this earlier, but I rethought Fred VanVleet, but I think his role got to be different. People, you pay this dude a lot of money, you want him to start, but the only way I truly can envision him starting with the Pistons, if they draft a bigger guard, if they bring in a LaMelo, a Killian, and I don't say that for offensive purposes. I say that for defensive purposes. I think VanVleet, ever since that Boston series where they won last year's championship, he came back at the birth of his child. He proved that he can get his shot off versus taller and longer defenders. He proved that. My only concern is defensively. I'm not saying he's bad a defender, but you always want to have that balance. And that was different from when we had Isaiah and Joe Dumars. All right? And people say, what was the difference? Isaiah can defend, and Joe was a defender. They was an undersized backcourt. Isaiah was 6 foot 6'1". Joe D around 6'4". Even in that time, they was deemed the undersized backcourt. But they both can defend their position hard. And that's an anomaly when you have a small backcourt like that, and they do well. I know Eric Snow and Allen Iverson did the damn thing. But you just got to think about it for a minute. You want to really have a bigger guard back there with VanVleet. Even Luke Kennard, he's 6'5". You want to start him and VanVleet back there? That's just defensive liability. That's just a defensive liability in my opinion. But so in all, you got to get a bigger point guard back there, and it'll work with VanVleet. All right, the Maxey kid. I mean, he kind of a combo guard. Him and VanVleet the same. They both undersized. Talk about the kid from Iowa State. He pretty tall and long. I think Cole Anthony, he about 6'3", but then again, him and VanVleet still would be an undersized backcourt. And I haven't really evaluated Anthony how much dog he got on the defensive end. But you gotta, if you get Fred VanVleet, you gotta get a longer guard back there. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta get a longer guard back there. Now he don't have to come in and be a defensive savant from day one. He don't have to be a lockdown defender from day one. You can teach them athletic guys how to come in on the defensive side of the floor. Eventually, he has to blossom into that defensive guy. And I think Fred VanVleet is more than willing defending his position. I think VanVleet was more than willing to defend his position. I think he's a willing defender. He's a guy that's going to give full effort. But the way he's shooting the ball, the way he's scoring, you just got to consider bringing him in. Obviously, you're going to have to break the bank for him to lead Toronto or to really, fend off other teams that won't vet his services. But another thing about VanVleet as well is you can bring him off the bench. He can be like it's not a good comparison, but Chicago-wise, he could be like Ben Gordon off the bench. You know what I'm saying? But could he be an all-star? I mean, the way he's scoring the ball last season and this restart season, I can see it, man. And I think you can bring VanVleet off the bench. I'm not sure he'd be willing to accept that role. And he could be a Manu Ginobili, a Vinnie Johnson, a Jamal Crawford, who's making his debut in the bubble today with the Brooklyn Nets, and Joe Harris and Karis LeVert down, so they got another choice but to put Crawford in. So I think he could be that off the bench as well too. But then again, I think he's earned the right to start. But only way I consider him is bringing him off the bench as a sixth man, or truly, getting a bigger guard next to him, and I'd be comfortable. I'd definitely be comfortable with him playing next to a bigger guard. That would be a great scenario for him here. And could he come to Detroit and be an all-star, yeah, I think it could happen. But people have this black cloud that covers over our, teams. That one guys come here, they don't get maximum effort. I mean, Marvin Jones Jr. did. I think Blake Griffin came here and he was traded and he accepted the role and he fit in. He had a really good year his second year here, whereas after his half season he was injured. He had a really good year, but I think VanVleet is worth reconsidering. And obviously, opinions can change. He go to the playoffs and throw up bricks and build a house. Then all our opinions is changing about Fred VanVleet. If he go in and have a hot start, I mean, it's going to be a lot of teams after him. Is it imperative that the Pistons get him? No. Should they consider him? Maybe. Only guy I'm really considering is Brandon Ingram. And him and Zion just don't play well together on most nights. But, DeMar DeRozan and guys like that, I'm not considering them. I feel like you can get, the Beasley kid? That's a free agent. They used to play for Denver. And I think you can get a guy that can give you a lot on both sides of the floor. But I think VanVleet is worth considering. I think if you have a hot playoff run and Toronto make a finals run, they make the finals and somehow win it again, which I don't think is out the realm of possibility. I think this is more of this finals run is more of an enigma. You don't know because of injuries and how players playing up and down. TJ Warren from the Indiana Pacers is tearing it up. So a lot of dudes some dudes been in shape, some dudes been working out, some have it, some got to find their groove. But right now, VanVleet is carrying on. Other than the little injury spurt he had earlier with Toronto, he is really carrying on as that guy. And if he continues to be that guy and the Pistons have an opportunity to get him, and he goes on to have a hot finals and playoff run, I think you got to consider bringing him in. But if I bring him in, you got to have a plan. You can't put him in the backcourt with Derrick Rose or with Luke Kennard. Offensively, you're going to give up 100 points a night. Easy. Like by the third quarter, you're going to give up 100 points. So you got to get him in there with a bigger guard, or you got to bring him off the bench. But he got to be there. You can play some small ball every now and again. You can play him and Rose, him and Kennard together. And ideally, if you want to start him, you want to put him next to LaMelo, Killian, Spencer Dinwiddie is another big guard that can guard the twos. So whoever come in has to guard the twos. You know what I'm saying? And I understand it's a positionless league, but they got to get out there with their length and guard those tools. You know what I'm saying? And he got to be next to a bigger guard. People say, well, he was a smaller guard than Kyle Lowry. That is true, but they got some really good rim protectors too in Toronto. Siakam is a long defender. Ibaka can defend the rim. Marc Gasol can defend the rim. Hollis Jefferson can defend the rim a little bit. So they got some really, really long athletes. OG is a good perimeter defender. So they surround him and Kyle Lowry right by really, really good perimeter defenders. OG can play 2 or 3. Norman Powell can come in and defend his position a little bit. So that's pretty much an anomaly right there. That's working with 2 smaller backcourts with him and VanVleet because they just so interchangeable. You know what I'm saying? They can take VanVleet and put him on, the weakest defender out there, and they could put Siakam on on a Ben Simmons, or they could put Siakam on a Victor Oladipo or something of that nature. So, I'm really definitely reconsidering VanVleet. I think most Piston fans shared my opinion, like, oh no, he gonna come here and he gonna lose his magic, or he too small. He a positionless player. But then again, we in a positionless league. And if he can hold up versus Miami, he can hold up versus LA, which LA ain't got the best 2 guards in the league, but they got LeBron, they got AD, Deion Waiters is pretty shifty still. So if he can have a good playoff run, it's gonna be harder to get him. But how many players gonna really spend money on VanVleet? He's showing he can hoop. The Pistons worked him out prior to the draft. They didn't pick him up. And he's like in the Midwest. He's from Rockford or Yaki, Illinois, wherever it's called. But I'm definitely reconsidering bringing him in. And then One Pride Nation brought this to my attention yesterday, and I'm gonna end off on this one. He said it's been 20 years since the Pistons traded for Ben Wallace, and that's crazy. It's been 20 years. Think 20 years it's been since they traded for Ben Wallace, and that was one of the trades that changed it all around. I think they traded Chucky Atkins, and I forget the whole trade, and then eventually we traded Jerry for Rip. Forget that trade, how that trade went. Brought in Chauncey, and eventually we drafted a 4-year starter with Tubby Smith out of Kentucky Wildcats with Tayshaun Prince. Brought in Rasheed Wallace, had him in our core. I mean, we had a hell of a squad. That was a hell of a squad. That was the perfect storm. And he, Joe tried to recreate it with Ben Gordon. We just brought him up. Didn't really work. Charlie Villanueva, Josh Smith, and it didn't work. You know what I'm saying? And You know, ultimately that was Joe Dumars' demise, and also not drafted Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade, or Chris Bosh. But hey, it is what it is. Let me know what you guys think about the video. You have some second thoughts about Fred VanVleet, or this solidifying what you believe that the Pistons should go after VanVleet in free agency. Don't forget, check out our Detroit Piston Talk playlist. Don't forget, you can always find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. All my links in the description. We got a business question, inquiry, sponsorship, video request. Let me know. Other than that, man, want to make a donation, Cash App, PayPal, inscription. Best way to donate is just share the video. Also, check my other channel out, Goodfellas Sports TV, right here on YouTube. One time for the one time. We gone.